I stepped into my in-laws' place on Christmas Eve fully aware I was walking straight into a lion's den. The whole house smelled like gingerbread, fresh evergreen, and that faint whiff of side-eye they've perfected over the years. Pretty much their signature perfume. My wife, Lauren, sailed in ahead of me like she was the queen returning to her castle. I trailed behind lugging the simply wrapped present I'd picked out for the family gift swap, the one she flat out refused to put her name on because apparently it was beneath her. The second we crossed the threshold, her relatives swarmed her with the usual praise. Hair on point, manicure flawless, dress stunning. I got the standard polite head bob you give a piece of furniture, acknowledging it exists but nobody's asking how its day is going. Lauren shot me that tiny smug grin she saves for my birthdays, our anniversary, and now, evidently, public holiday roasting. "You actually brought that?" she hissed under her breath, nodding toward the gift in my hands. "It's the family exchange," I said. "Everybody brings something." "Everybody," she snapped back. "Except the guy who shops like he's filling up on Slim Jims at a truck stop. Ah yes. Season's greetings." We headed into the living room where the entire clan was already arranged around the tree like a catalog shoot. Twinkling lights, mellow carols, and enough cashmere to bail out a startup. I slid my little box under the tree as quietly as possible. Of course Lauren spotted her opening. She amped her volume to theater kid levels because an audience is mandatory. "Oh my gosh, guys. Look at the adorable little package Ethan brought. So precious." Half the room tittered. Her mom tossed me the pitying glance you give a wet puppy you're definitely not taking home. "Maybe next year," Lauren went on, "you'll actually pick something decent." "Well," I answered perfectly calm. "I went with thoughtful." She barked out a laugh. Thoughtful is just what people call cheap when they're trying to feel better about it. That one landed hard, not because of what she said, but because nobody in the room disagreed out loud. Dinner was an hour-long highlight reel of everything Lauren made sure I knew we couldn't afford because of my financial priorities. If ego came in miniature stockings, these people would need a second chimney. Finally we circled back for gifts. Lauren leaned in close. "Try not to embarrass me, okay?" "Got it," I said. "We'll go one by one." She glared like I'd threatened to sing karaoke. When my turn came, Lauren practically body-checked people to get front and center. Her cousin lifted the small silver-wrapped box. Inside was a vintage-style pocket watch, custom engraved with their late grandpa's initials, something deeply personal the whole family would recognize. Her cousin's eyes went wide. "Whoa, this is actually gorgeous." Lauren snatched it. "Let me see that." She turned it over then scoffed. "Engraved? That's so last century. You could have bought something current." Her aunt piped up. "But Grandpa was obsessed with watches. And the work is stunning," the cousin added. "Where did you find this?" Lauren cut them off with a nervous laugh. No, you don't get it. Ethan always goes cheap. He probably paid some mall kiosk $20 to scratch letters on it." "Lauren, stop." "Her sister Sophie." Now Sophie was the odd one out in that family, quiet, watchful, the type who actually listens while everyone else is busy posing for imaginary cameras. She walked straight over and handed me a big heavyweight box wrapped in sleek matte black with a gold ribbon. It screamed money and effort. Every head swiveled. "For you," she said softly. "You deserve it." I opened it. Dead silence. Inside was a top-tier, hand-stitched leather briefcase, custom everything, my initials engraved on the solid brass clasp. Not an impulse buy, not corner-cutting, not an afterthought. Lauren went ghost white, like someone had just frozen her credit cards mid-swipe. That's the one I wanted," she stammered. "The one I showed you last month." Sophie nodded. "Exactly. And he's the one who actually appreciated it. You just like the logo." Her voice stayed level but firm. "Maybe start noticing what he does instead of tearing him down in front of everyone." You could feel the room tilt. Not chaos, just enough for Lauren's neck to go red. Her mom suddenly found the carpet fascinating. Her dad cleared his throat like it owed him money. Even the dog looked judgmental. I didn't gloat. Didn't need to. The quiet was the sweetest present I unwrapped all night. Then something happened I'd never seen. Lauren's eyes filled up. She spun away fast, pretending to fix her dress, but her shoulders shook. It wasn't the briefcase that got her. It was realizing the room wasn't laughing with her anymore. They were staring at her. Sophie gave my arm a light squeeze and whispered, "Merry Christmas, Ethan." For the first time that night I smiled for real, not because I won but because somebody finally saw me. I always figured Lauren's family viewed me as human wallpaper, only noticeable if I spilled red wine. Turns out I was wrong. One person in that house saw way more than I ever gave her credit for. Sophie, the quiet sister I barely knew. She'd been watching from the start. The second we walked in, Lauren was in full diva mode. Head high, voice cranked, laughing like she was on stage. I carried the casserole and the gift I'd chosen. Nothing flashy, just meaningful, the kind regular humans love. Lauren took one look at the wrapping and sighed like I brought coal in a sock. "You seriously couldn't do better," she muttered. "It's personal," I said. "That's what broke people call things when they can't afford nice stuff." Merry freaking Christmas. Through all the hugs and air kisses, I caught Sophie leaning in the doorway, taking it all in, no judgment, just observation. She clocked every tiny dig. Lauren scolding me for hanging my coat wrong, for saying hi too quietly, for literally existing. At dinner, Lauren kept the spotlight glued to herself, bragging about her job, shading mine like it was a side hustle, making it sound like she single-handedly kept us above water. Every jab she threw, Sophie's eyes flicked to me, soft, quick, but 100% aware. Later, when Lauren's dad asked about our plans for next year, she jumped in before I could open my mouth. "Well, as long as Ethan doesn't tank them with another one of his budget-friendly disasters." Cue the polite chuckles while I chewed ham like it was my last meal on death row. After dinner, I slipped out to the back porch for air. The house was louder than a stadium full of vuvuzelas. A minute later, the door opened. Sophie stepped out with 2 steaming mugs of cocoa. "One for you," she said. "Thanks. I needed the sugar." "You needed the 5 minutes away more," she replied. "Not pity, recognition." "You've been pretty quiet tonight," she said. "Somebody has to keep the universe in balance around here." She laughed, a real one, warm and rare in that house. Then she got serious. "She's brutal to you," she said gently. "More than anyone should be to someone they claim to love." I shrugged. "She's stressed." "Old reflex." Sophie shook her head. "Stress doesn't look like that. Habit does." She didn't preach. Didn't push. Just gave me a slice of truth I didn't know I was starving for. We headed back in right as the gift exchange kicked off. Sophia, naturally, floated right to the middle of the living room like she owned the spotlight at the Grammys. When the little present I'd brought got opened, it was a beautifully restored and colorized 19th century family portrait, something that actually meant the world to them. Sophia let out this big fake laugh. "Seriously, Jake? A photo? Are we 5 years old and swapping stickers?" A couple of her relatives gave awkward chuckles, not sure whether to play along or wince. I just kept quiet. No sense arguing with a hurricane that's only spinning for attention. But Lily noticed everything. Her mouth tightened, eyes flicking from Sophia to me and back again. She reached under the tree, pulled out a wrapped box I hadn't seen before, and walked straight over. "This one's for you," she said softly. I stared. "For me?" She nodded. "I picked something out for you this year. You deserve way more credit than you ever get." Sophia's head snapped around so fast you'd think someone jerked a chain. I opened the box and found a gorgeous, handcrafted fountain pen set, custom wood, my name engraved on it, paired with a buttery leather journal that probably cost more than I make in 2 weeks. On the first page was a note in Lily's handwriting. "To the guy who actually listens. To the guy who notices the little things. To the guy who keeps showing up even when nobody says thank you. Merry Christmas." My throat got tight, not because it was fancy or expensive, but because it was the first time anyone in that house had ever said, out loud, that my effort mattered instead of treating it like a participation trophy nobody asked for. The room went dead quiet. Sophia's smile froze and started to crack. "You bought that for him?" she asked, voice wobbling between shock and pure envy. "Yeah," Lily answered, calm as ever. "He's earned it. No performance, no audience, just facts." It was so level-headed it cut deeper than any yelling ever could. Sophia's face flushed red. She glanced around for backup and found none. Not after all the digs, the eye rolls, the way she'd spent the whole night acting like I was a glitch in her perfect evening. Lily stepped a little closer to me and said quietly, "Some people fake caring. Some people actually do. I know which one you are." That was the final straw. Sophia's eyes filled up and she muttered something about needing air, slipping out to the hallway. The shaky breath she tried to hide told the real story. Lily looked at me again, gentle but rock solid. You shouldn't have to feel invisible in a room full of family. And for the first time all night I didn't. If you've ever walked into a holiday gathering where you're technically one of them, but treated more like the furniture, only acknowledged when something's out of place, you'll know exactly how that Christmas Eve felt for me. Sophia's family had a black belt in subtle shade. Little comments dressed up as jokes. Smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Backhanded compliments wrapped in tinsel. Sophia was the ringleader. The second we stepped through the door she eyed my jacket like it owed her money. Couldn't find anything better? It's nice, I said. Sure, if you're heading to traffic court. Merry Christmas to you too. Inside, everyone was buzzing with cocktails and loud cheer while I carried in the gift I'd picked for the exchange. Something personal, tied to an old family story. Sophia, as usual, hadn't bothered to bring anything. That was fine. I'd learned years ago the gift itself didn't matter. It only existed so she could roast it in front of everybody. Dinner was her one-woman show. Talking over me, fixing my stories, adding punchlines like, he means the off-brand version, or bless his heart he tries. By the time pie came around I felt vacuum-sealed in sarcasm. But sometimes Christmas magic doesn't float down like soft snow. Sometimes it lands like a safe dropping from the second floor. Guess which version I got? Gift exchange time. Everyone gathered in the living room. Sophia planted herself dead center, ready for her close-up. My little box got opened by her aunt, revealing a fully restored pocket diary that had belonged to their late grandpa, pages digitized, photos cleaned up, rebound in beautiful leather. A real piece of family history brought back to life. Her aunt gasped. This is incredible. Before the words were even out, Sophia jumped in. Oh, come on. It's just one of Jake's budget nostalgia projects. What did that set you back? $20. The room went colder than the front porch. Her mom looked at the floor. Her dad coughed into his eggnog. Even the dog side-eyed her. That's when Lily stood up from the couch on the far wall. She's not the dramatic type, quiet, steady, basically Sophia's opposite in every way. She walked over carrying a long, perfectly wrapped box with a deep red bow. Jake, this is yours. Sophia spun around. For him? Seriously. Because Lily said, soft but unshakable, someone finally needed to give him something he actually deserves. I opened it. Inside was a stunning leather briefcase. Custom-made, understated, the kind CEOs carry without bragging. Quiet luxury that says competent adult, instead of look how much I spent. Sophia's jaw actually dropped. That's the exact one I showed you online. Lily nodded. Yep. You said you loved it because it screamed money. I got it for Jake because he'd appreciate the workmanship. Translation: you care about the price tag. He cares about the craft. Sophia blinked like she was buffering. Lily wasn't done. Every year you use Christmas as an excuse to tear him down. He brings thoughtful gifts, he helps without making a fuss. And you act like being mean is your love language. It was so matter-of-fact it landed like a slap. Sophia tried the I was only kidding defense. No, Lily cut in, calm and clear. You were being cruel. For the first time ever, someone in that family stepped in front of me instead of watching from the sidelines. And just like that, nobody was laughing with Sophia anymore. They were staring at her, really seeing her for once. Her eyes welled up, real tears, not the crocodile ones she usually turned on for sympathy. She turned away, pretending to fix an earring, but her shaking hands gave her away. The whole vibe in the room flipped. Not because I wanted payback, not because Lily stole the show, but because the truth finally got invited to the party. And truth changes everything. Lily looked at me and said, low enough that only I could hear. You're worth way more than how she treats you. It wasn't flirty. It wasn't theatrical. It was just honest. Dangerously honest. Sophia stood frozen, shoulders trembling. For the first time in our whole marriage she wasn't running the room, and it broke something in her. I didn't gloat, didn't smirk, just held that beautiful bag, took a deep breath and felt human again. Lily touched my arm for half a second. Merry Christmas, Jake. And right then I got it. The best gift under the tree isn't always the one with the fanciest bow. Sometimes it's the quiet, unflinching truth that finally makes everyone, even your spouse, see your worth.